Hello YouTube and welcome to the nation of free-to-play. I'm Mr. Mondstadt and today the new version of Stygian Onslaught just came out, namely one for version Luna 5, and in this video I want to share with you my clear of the fearless difficulty on my F2P account. This is not really a guide because I'm not trying out different teams, and to be fair, this time I was pretty lucky with my account because I kinda do have the shield units. I don't have Venti, I don't have Varka, but you'll see that there will be a way around this. So we have the Mandragora, we have Knuckle Duckel, and we have the Overseer device, which has been there before. So this is basically the Skirk and Escoffier shield, and I want to share my clear here, and you're gonna get some yap of me as well. For the first boss, the Mandragora, I chose to play my weaker melt, well kinda, because I also needed a grouper, which is why I chose Kazuha, and more Reshra is always nice, so I also chose Doran, even though I don't have a second Hexerai unit in this team. For this approach, I gave Kazuha a C0R0 because his grouping needs to be there when this enemy splits into these small fellas, and as you can see you need to group them, and now the idea was to use Citlali's cryo app to melt them and then hopefully hit all of them, and if you do so like in this run, then it's pretty easy and you have some spare time, and now the rest of the boss is down, so now you can actually go ahead and do some damage. Also, the more pyro app, the faster he splits, I feel like, so that's the second idea behind this. But of course, if you play Doran like I do, yes, you get the Reshra in his wide mode, but you also have to face the fact that he's gonna steal a bunch of your weaker melts. So melting consistently is pretty difficult in this team. However, this was still the most efficient one for me at least. But again, I think if you have Venti, you'll have a way easier time. I also tried that on a different account. So Venti was way easier for me. If you have Varka with Venti, that's probably the best bet because this is kinda the idea behind this boss. But since Varka's DPS isn't like too crazy, other strong units can also deal with this one. For me, Weaker was the easiest one because of her AoE abilities, and yeah, that's basically it. Citlali here is on TDDS and the scroll set. That is basically most she does, and in the end it got very close here as my burst just expired, but with the last hit I managed to defeat this one, so yeah. Took me a bunch of resets, but in the end this was the most difficult one for me. The second boss is Knuckle Duckel, also a new one, at least in Stygian Onslaught, but works pretty much just like the normal Abyss version or Overworld boss. So you do want Electro or Lunar Charged, and obviously Lunar Charged is more efficient here. So if you happen to have either Ineffa or Flints, ideally with Columbina, this should be enough to clear this one. I don't have Flints on my account, but I do have Zebai, so I figured let's just try her, because even though she doesn't really deal with the Lunar Charge mechanics, she still deals a lot of damage and is basically my strongest DPS on this account. So yeah, you wanna attack the small ducks and break them as fast as possible, ideally with Electro or Lunar Charged. But since the buy hits pretty hard, even though the res is high, it still helps in defeating them faster. So this is basically the first time we'll do this, and yes, because Knuckle Duckel will not stay down, we'll have to do this one again. He's about to summon his duckies a second time, and then we just repeat the process. So yeah, this one is pretty straightforward. However, I do think it is very chill if you don't have Ineffa or Flints. I'm not sure whether Columbina on her own with, let's say, Fischl or another strong electro carry like Varessa is enough. Maybe if you have very good investment, it might be. Personally, I'm very glad I didn't have to worry about this boss too much, so yeah. Obviously this is rather easy if you have the right units, as you can see here. So that's why this one is also not a guide, because I know that if you don't happen to have these characters in your account, you will have a way harder time. And the same goes for the last boss, the Overseer device, because this one is pure Skirk and Scoffia Shill, and if you have those, like I do, you're gonna have a very easy time. These builds are not optimized. Farina should be on Tenacity, and Xingqiu should probably be on Noblesse, and all of that is not the case. I just tried it and basically could clear first try because this boss is simply designed for Skirk and Scoffia. But yeah, if you have one of them, you should also be fine. If you have neither, it's gonna be difficult, but there are some techniques to defeat this mechanic anyway. So you need a lot of cryo app, there's no way around it, but you don't need to do mostly cryo damage. So one strategy that worked last time was using a strong cryo applicator like Layla, and then play Hyper Bloom, maybe with Lauma if you have her, or another strong DPS. You don't wanna steal reactions though, so Hyper Fridge is probably one good approach. I didn't really want to struggle that much if I don't have to, so this is why this clear is pretty straightforward. So yeah, this is my advice. If you don't have Skirk or Scoffia, other strong cryo applicators, also Ayaka, a lot of ER could work, but again, this is not the video for that, so I hope you can forgive me and just choosing the easy route this time. And yeah, as you can see here, one last time you have to apply cryo to get its rest down, and then the boss is done. Also, if you are using Night Soul against this one, he will have special attacks that can one-shot you, so be aware of that, and you might have to dodge more. So in this case, I didn't use Lali for this boss, and instead used Xingqiu. And lastly, my builds. Mavuika, even though I did play Meld, she isn't an attack sans, because as I said, Doran stole a bunch of these melds, so it wasn't very consistent, and the attack was more useful. Especially since her Tidal Shadow effect does not work without a healer, so I lost a bunch of attack there. Kazu is just on Saxord and a lot of EM and ER. Doran is on the signature set with Lion's Roar and an overall decent ratio. He does some damage from off field, so there's that. And Sidlali, as I said already, on the scroll set with TDDS. It's basically half her purpose in this team, just for the external buzz from her gear. Then, for the second team, Zebai, one of my best build characters I would say, is on Harbinger of Dawn. With Inefa and Xylonen I could maintain that uptime, and then just lots of defense and EM substats next to the crit. Columbina on Prototype Amber, Silken Moon Serenade, lots of HP, lots of ER, that's all I really care about here. Xylonen is on Scroll, even though it doesn't do too much, but it's also not really far behind Instructor, if at all, so you can alternate between the two sets. And lastly, Inefa on the Morning Star set, even though my feather is, well, sad. I will be farming during the Stygian to improve her. And then lastly, Skirk, probably my best build character on my account, at least when it comes to CV. So she carried me through endgame challenges many times before, and she did so here as well. Then we have Farina. As I said, she's not optimized, so I could give her Fav and Tenacity, but yeah, I kind of forgot about it, so this clear was still possible. Escoffia is also on Golden Troop, Inazuma Torch, and then just ER, attack percent, and crit. And lastly, Xingqiu is on another Saxord at R1 and 4-piece emblem. So yeah, this is basically it. Quick little video this week as I'm working on a bunch of bigger projects that hopefully come up soon. So yeah, this is my clear. Overall, I think if you have the right characters, this Stygian is definitely one of the easier ones. Definitely easier than the last time with the dog. So yeah, I hope this video still helps you somehow. If it did and you enjoyed it, please leave a like and also consider subscribing to my channel, as it really helps out a lot. If you have any more questions regarding the Stygian, what teams or gear you should use, leave a comment down below and ask me there. I'm always happy to help. And as always, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!